In 3, 2.
Okay, we're going to show you how to put your MRX back together if you end up tearing it apart, and so you don't have any problems. You're going to need a little Loctite. We suggest the blue style or something that's non-permanent, so you can get it apart again if you need to clean it or if you need to work on it or something. A couple quarters or coins and some just regular grease. I'm going to go over what the parts are. You've got the blade, master link, your chain, dual springs. You can see these dual springs in here. The right hand, left hand wound. Your bearings, hard seats for the bearings to run against in the aluminum, your pivot lock, pivot stop, 3 screws, and your belt clip and 2 sides. Now, to start putting it back together again, we're going to put just a dab of grease on your hard stops, and all that is, it's not for lubricant or anything, it's for it's just to hold that in while we're putting it back together. Might as well do both of them right away. Put them in both sides. We're going to take your main pivot, push it through. We're going to take one of the bearings and drop it over the main pivot. Take the belt clip, drop our screws through. Slide them into place. Blade stop in place. This is what the knife should look like before you install the blade. Take the blade, lining up the stop pin and the main pivot. We're going to get the chain in the slot. You can take the Allen wrench and just make sure you pick up both of the springs, the inner and the outer. You can take your 5/64 Allen wrench. You can actually run them on there by screwing that. They'll just run right on. Push your spring down in the channel. This is what it should look like at this point. You know, you got both screws in this back section. Both springs are over this screw. Chains in the channel. Stop pivots in place. Take our button spring, put it in place. Make sure it's down in the in that hole so it lines up. There's a another pocket right here for your main pin. Just push that down in place. Now we're ready for our second bearing. Drop it right over the top. Because we put our grease on there, this is not going to fall out. So we're just going to go ahead and drop the this body right over the top of the other one. Get our button lined up with the hole. And our pivot. It'll just snap right in place there. Everything will be lined up. You may have to kind of pull this back a little because those springs are pulling on it. Just run these screws in. Run them just in finger tight. If you decide to, you can put a little of the blue Loctite on those. This is where the Loctite really belongs. You're going to apply just a little tiny drop to these threads right here. Run that in. You can take your coin, use that to tighten this up. Sometimes you might need to. I'm just holding it on the back with my finger. Just snug that up a little bit. You want the knife to open nice and smooth. You want it to lock up tight. If you feel any side-to-side movement, just go ahead and tighten that a little more. It'll completely be gone. Your stop pin, it's just the right length so that you can't really over-tighten the knife. That's why it works so well too. This knife is impossible to pinch and stop. I can hold this as tight as I possibly can. Still, it's going to open. We ran over with a Humvee, and you can open it with the Humvee. And that's with the weight of a Humvee sitting on the knife. So, that's the way you reassemble your MRX knife.